So y'all, let's talk about it. Black Cake, season 1, episode 6. I am not going to go with a full in detail recap today, but we are going to talk about what stood out to me and what I felt like was most important. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and this is my sweet perspective. Please go ahead and, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. Okay, so let's get right into it. This review, Black Cake, episode 6, Now, Byron got locked up because of Benny last week. And so he's going through the whole process again. He's never been in trouble before. And now Benny wants to come behind and, file a police report against her abuser right now. And it's like, well, the statute of limitations is up, but you can go get a restraining order. So she decides she's going to go ahead and get a restraining order. Meanwhile, Benny's still having to be processed and go through the whole thing. Apparently, the abuser decides he's going to go ahead and drop charges, and he pops up at Benny's home. Benny, there's a restraining order against you. No, I don't have anything to say to you. And he's like, well, Benny, I accepted a $25,000 advance for the sculpture. You ruined it, so you're going to be responsible for paying for it. Basically, because you don't want to get next to him. By the way, Byron did a great job. He was beat down, even though I don't feel like Byron should have been roped into it, and I still blame Benny. So Benny decides she's going to go ahead and cook a good dinner for Byron. They're going to hang out. Meanwhile, we are still hearing narration of Covey, aka Covitina, aka Eleanor, going over kind of her experiences and really just talking about Benny in this first part and how, she should have been more understanding based on her relationship with Bunny and how she made Bunny conform to fit societal norms back then, because we know that Bunny was a lesbian all those years back. And we get flashes back to a dance where Covey made, Bunny dance with some guy, and how Bunny kind of gave herself to a guy to fit in, right? Because we know back then it was going to be super dangerous, especially on the island. So she's like, I'm sorry I did that to Benny, that we didn't fully accept. Again, from that dinner, I didn't get that. I thought it was more about Benny's inability to stick with something, not so much that she, liked women or was bi or whatever the situation was. But they're going that direction, so let's go with it. So she felt guilty, and I think Benny will feel somewhat vindicated in that. So Benny decides she's going to cook dinner, but first she's got to get Byron ready because he's got bruises too, and he has a panel discussion to speak on. Now, Byron, he's at his wit's end at this point. And so one of the young ladies in the audience says, what does it feel like to be a trailblazer, being one of the only Black men in this field of science in your company? And he's like, it's hard and it ticks me off, but I'm learning to embrace the anger and move forward. And basically everybody was trying to cut him off, take the mic. And he's like, no, I'm going to finish this. I'm dealing with microaggressions. And if you work in corporate around y'all, it is known. And so he kind of goes on about it. And he's like, we have to kind of channel that anger and rage to be the best and to have more people that look like us in these spaces, right? And so he stands on his truth. And I didn't think he was really expecting any applause, but he actually got a standing ovation, which is good. So maybe I guess he'll get his girl back who couldn't stand beside him since he wasn't standing up for himself. So now they go to the house and he's outside and the black Jeep or whatever pulls up, and we know that's what the abuser drives. And he was like, did you invite old boy over here to Benny? And she's not answering because she's vibing in the kitchen with the music loud. We see Byron walk in, and who is he walking in with but Mabel, honey? Mabel is in the building. She done came to the U.S., said she didn't sleep in a day, and she is on her way. And so Benny's stuck. And I'm like, Benny, don't act up, because we all know Benny got some issues, but she's stuck in shock and awe. And Byron's, trying to introduce her. So Benny's like, I need a minute. So they get back, they are sitting down to eat dinner, and, they're kind of explaining the situation. And Mabel wants to know, well, basically she talks about how she has now come into her identity and she's questioning herself about why she didn't know, how did she overlook X, Y, or Z. And they're taking it all in. And now they want to get into the story of how she was born, who her people are, right? And my thing is, on the first conversation, I don't think that's an appropriate discussion. I say play the last recording from Covey and then talk about that, because it's traumatic. And so, of course, they get into it and they're like, we believe your father to be the man who essayed her. And so she's like, okay, it's time for me to go. I didn't come for this. Y'all be blessed. Do what you got to do, but I'm leaving. And, you know, Benny's like, no. Byron's like, okay, she could go. Let's go ahead and listen to the other recording, talking to the lawyer. We also find out on this episode that the lawyer and Covey may have had a brief love situation. It's kind of nuanced and they don't, you know, spell it out completely. But it does seem as though once both of their spouses died, that they used each other for comfort. And Covey was apologizing, I guess, for getting sick and having to leave him. At the end of the episode, though, we're left on another cliffhanger about more that Covey hasn't shared. And so I'm not going to completely spoil it. But y'all, they like leaving us on a cliffhanger. I'm hoping, though, in the future we find out more about Mabel's son's father. Again, this was episode 6. There's a total of 8 episodes this season. So I think they're going to have to unpack more. I want to know where adult Bunny is and what the result of all of that was. We do see that Benny does go after Mabel, which I was surprised by. I was like, okay, Benny, don't try to redeem your character now, but I'm here for it. And she basically, you know, wants to reason with her. She brings her Jamaican food and she's like, let's talk, you know. And it seems like Mabel is kind of understanding. And so I'm excited to see how the rest of this is going to play out, what else is on this last recording, and how it's going to tie into the future. But you guys let me know if you watched the entire episode. What are your thoughts? Again, this was episode 6. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next video. Deuces.